Welcome to the Wildcast Podcast, coming to you from Wildcast Studios, with your hosts Adam Lund and Jeremy Boucher.
Oh, welcome back to Wildcast Studios for the Season 6, premiere of the Wildcast Podcast, your unofficial voice for all things Moncton Wildcats. As always, fan listeners, I am Adam. I am back as your host, and I am joined by your favorite co-hoster and newly anointed candidate for Prime Minister, Mr. Jeremy Boucher. How did that come about? Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you so much. Yes. So if you don't follow me on Twitter, I'm pretty...
You should.
I like to engage in some trolling when it comes to certain politicians.
Yes.
Doesn't matter if you're
I was going to say,
red,
not
blue,
certain,
orange, green, purple.
Yeah.
I've been blocked by the purple guy. That's apparently the free speech guy, but, what do you say, right? But yes, so there's a leadership convention going on for the Conservative Party of Canada. And one of the candidates, instead of saying he's a candidate for the leader of the Conservative Party, he is basing his campaign on being a candidate for Prime Minister.
Oh, okay.
So it's just a big joke about going on on Twitter where people are just updating their profiles to be a candidate for Prime Minister of Canada. So I thought I'd do the same. So now apparently there's about thousands and thousands and thousands of candidates for Prime Minister. So maybe one day you'll see me at Parliament Hill.
I hope not.
If you do, I'm probably sightseeing on the outside. So.
Yeah, I kind of need you here, so I'd appreciate it if you weren't. But as you can tell, if you're listening, you should be also listening on YouTube, as we're now on YouTube, fully functioning, ready to go, camera ready. Well, we're never camera ready, but we have a camera in the studio.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. Speaking of which, if you are watching on YouTube, it is summer. It is that time.
It's still 30
you can
degrees
tell
out.
By the Hawaiian shirt,
the mustache.
So, how was your summer, man?
Summer was good.
What, 3 weeks in Barrie?
2 weeks in Barrie. Yep. Not Barrie, but the beautiful, bustling metropolis of Combermere, Ontario.
Ooh. Now, is that close to Barrie? Is that
it's not even close to Barrie. It took us 3 hours to drive to Barrie.
All right, so you're a Barrie guy, but that wasn't even close to Barrie. Got it.
So to describe Combermere, Ontario, so you fly into the Ottawa airport. You go past where the Senators play. You go past Arnprior. You go past Renfrew. I guess when you get into Renfrew, you get on this street called Opiongo Road. Mm-hmm. And I swear you follow that for an hour and a half. And you get to a town called Letterkenny, Ontario.
Yeah.
And then once you're in Letterkenny, Ontario, or you're about 20 minutes from Combermere. So it's a beautiful little town. It's right on the Madawaska River. And I got it's probably never heard of it, these people listening, but I got to give a shout out to the fine folks at the Bent Anchor Beach Bar and Grill.
Yeah, you're all about the drinks and the...
Yes, this place is fantastic. It's right on the river. I mean, this Combermere, it might be a town of 300 people.
Oh, wow.
But this beach bar is incredible. You can swim up to the bar, you can boat up to the bar, you can anchor your boats, and go get yourself a drink. You can jump off the bridge that's right there into the river. Really cool.
Thanks for saying into the river.
Yeah.
You can jump off the bridge.
It's really, really
we
cool.
We don't advertise it.
For a town, not even a town, like a little community of 300 people maybe. Yeah. This place is great.
So it's a summer community for
sure.
Yeah,
very much.
Kind of explodes and then...
Yeah. It's like, probably it is a ghost town in the winter. Let's put it that way, because this place isn't even open in the wintertime. And, really cool spot. Went there a couple times and wanted to go to Jays game, but for some reason nobody wanted to go to a Jays game with me, believe it or not.
So you didn't just go by yourself?
No.
Oh.
No, not going to risk that.
You're not going to risk that. Where do you
have
get
a few
lost?
Drinks? No. I would just.
It's more enjoyable.
I don't want to go to downtown Toronto by myself.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, it was pretty relaxing vacation. Went by too fast, but that's just vacation. And here we are. I've been back for 2 weeks, and I think I'm still trying to recover.
Well, you threw a wedding there, and you
Yeah, had a wedding back and forth, like back and back. We had one on a Saturday night, one on a Sunday night. The Saturday night one was kind of, we were out of there by 6 p.m. But the one on the Sunday,
That's the one that you tied one on. Yeah.
Man, I think I was wearing this shirt. It wasn't even on me half the time. It was off me. There's videos I'm afraid to put them out there, but there's me grinding on a pole and like swinging on a pole and grinding on men and women.
Oh boy!
I had a few drinks that night. I'll put it that way. And
you have those videos? Please send them to the DMs of Monkey Wildcast on Twitter.
I'm sure if Megan listens, she'll send them to you. But other than that, pretty laid back. You did a couple trips yourself. Huh?
I did. Yeah, we did. Went to Grand Manan. That was. So last year we went to Grand Manan and we stayed in a nice hotel. It was during the Stanley Cup Finals. And it was kind of Canada Day. I thought it was more in August, but it was Canada Day. So stuff was just starting to open because we got that percentage back from the government. So nothing was really open, trying to open, mass all out. So we went there, had a wonderful time, loved the island. And then when we got back, Layla entered a contest for a 2-night stay in a dome, Geodome, $100 to Trapped Bar and Grill merchandise, and then $100 to the Old Well House, and then a 4-pack to whale watching, Lambert family whale watching.
There you go.
And man, if you have a chance to try and book this dome, it's open all year long. Book the dome. Park Place Retreats. Like you probably saw it all over my social media. I mean, this place was done to the nines, brand new. We entered another contest because we spent $50 at Trap, so we're entered for another 7 days. Yeah, you're all by yourself, no one around you.
Wow.
Private hot tub, has 4 bed up top, bed below, barbecue, big deck. I mean, he just knew. I want to say March of this year, and it's like $250 a night, but it is absolutely worth every dime. We did the whale watching, which, let's be honest, I'm not a boat guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind when they're going and you're like traveling in the seas. But when you actually just stop and you're just up, and, oh no, thank you. I took a few gravels to settle the 2 before and 2 after because I knew we were going to be sitting out there. But once we got out there, you forget because you're watching. I think it was like 6 or 8 humpback whales.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and like they're sticking their fin up and slapping the water and it's called trumpeting, and and that's them being playful, and like the calf, as they call it, was like flipping around. You could like see him flip all the way around. We saw a few dolphins who got right up close to the boat, jumping up in front, and then they go under and then they come back up. So if you have a chance to go to Grand Manan, this is not a sponsor, but Park Place Retreats, it's worth every penny. Lambert tours, whale watching tours, they were very good. And then of course, I mean, Trapped is a wicked place to eat, and so yeah, no, it was good. We've got in some golfing. Golfing.
There you go.
Sent the wife on a ladies' weekend to Shediac, and the only weekend in the month that rained is the weekend I picked. Booked it. I don't know, the end of January. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be beautiful in August. You remember those days here? There was like 34 degrees, and yeah, every single day except the 2 days I sent her to Shediac with her friends. Got him a dinner, gift certificate. Just said, go be with your friends. I'm going to play video games. And since I couldn't go golfing, I bought the new golf video game, or not the new one, I guess 2K21. And I am crushing it, leading tournaments.
Nice.
So yeah, but I'm ready. I'm glad we're back. It's fun, but seriously, hockey in August is different.
Yeah, hockey. I haven't even been to the rink.
No.
I'm just, hockey's like, it's in my blood, but it's, for me to go to a hockey rink in August, I just can't do it.
Yeah.
I can talk hockey in August. That's why we're doing this.
That's
show,
why it's on YouTube.
Exactly. Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, it's big ass props to the Wildcats for literally doing this, because I don't think any other team is doing it. Because this weekend, I was bored this weekend, and I'm looking for something to do, and the Mooseheads are having a scrimmage. Nothing like, they're not on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right. So this is good. I mean, it gives an opportunity for, you probably have these players' parents who've come down and they stay for the first couple of days, and they want to keep track of their kid at camp, and Wildcats are really knocking it out of the park here. Every scrimmage has been on YouTube. Every exhibition game, with the exception of the one in Fredericton.
Yeah.
And
that's not on the
That's been on
Wildcats.
YouTube?
That's on.
That's on the rink.
Yeah.
But
Which I thought it would be on CHL TV because on the CHL app, because when you go there, it says for $1.99 you can get a preseason game.
But
Oh,
I mean,
that's-
it's,
but
as
I
of-
think
we
it's-
haven't needed it yet.
No, and I think it's like it might be on the CHL app when you listen to this. I guess it might have been on last night. It might be on Friday when it's at the Avenir Center because it might be when it's only in QMJHL rinks. So the traveling around. But we'll get into our thoughts on the training camp here in just a little bit. Jam-packed show with a couple of guests. But before I forget, don't forget, as always, follow us on Twitter, Moncton Wildcast, which we finally hit 1,000 followers. Thanks to everyone. Instagram, Wildcast Podcast, still at 700. Not too bad. TikTok, and now don't forget to like and smash the subscribe button on the YouTube so you don't miss any of these shows every Wednesday. Let's get into some news and notes from around the queue.
News and notes from around the queue.
Oh, it's nice to hear that voice again.
Yeah, exactly. Not a lot going on right now. We've had a few league trades. Some of the ones, I mean, obviously, the one we had close to here, Matthias Kluche was sent to Shawinigan for a 6th rounder in 2024. And nothing against Matthias, but it was just
Numbers game
and playing time. Like where, you start like we did before on the season finale. I mean, it's you put a lineup together. He was nowhere to be found. McPavin's nowhere to be found. Dolomont for me, Darcy, they're kind of on the cusp. Olsen wasn't there. Like it's just a numbers game because if you're not in the top 6, these younger kids, they can take your spot. And for Matthias, it's a rebuilding Shawinigan team, so he'll get the playing time just like it was a rebuilding Moncton team. He was going to get playing time. So it's good for him to get the opportunity.
100%. Yeah, like you said, when we did our rosters on the season finale, he wasn't on mine, wasn't on yours. And there's even a couple who are at camp that I'm still having a difficult time trying to find a spot for them.
Yep.
But from what I've seen, they're performing. So it's going to be good thing we're not making decisions because it's going to be tough when it comes down to deciding. We're not necessarily rebuilding. We'll be much more competitive this year. But at the same time, do you want to take ice time away from a young player and keep an older player? You have to just, I guess that's something you need to come down to. But if you have a younger player that's, at the same level as a returning player, you have to go with the younger player. It's junior hockey.
Yep. And another one was Charles Antoine Pilat. I'm trying to remember if we talked about this on the season finale because I don't really remember when that was. But anyways, he's off to Gatineau for a 5th round pick. I think that was during the draft, so we probably covered that.
We did cover that.
One of the weirder, I guess, moves for a team, and we just figured this out before we came on. So Chicoutimi makes the deal with Shawinigan to grab 20-year-old Charles Antoine Lavallee for a 4th rounder in 2024. But when you look at it, they also made a move for a 12th rounder in 2024 in mid-July for Chad Arsenault. So now they have 2 20-year-old goaltenders. Now, I don't know if one of them's got a late birthday, so they're 19 right now.
No, that wouldn't. I mean, it's not how it works, but I don't know. Unless they didn't figure they'd be able to get Lavallee, and so they just made the move for Arsenault, but that just seems a little.
But you got to feel for that guy. Like,
well, yeah.
He's went from, I think, the Islanders, where he wasn't really going to get ice, with
to Bathurst.
Really well. Where he did really well. He played behind Bednar. Was it Matt Welsh he was behind, or was it Ellis? It would have been Matt Welsh, right? Because he's been in Bathurst for a couple of years.
Yeah. So.
And now he goes to Chicoutimi, gets his chance as a 20-year-old to kind of maybe be a starter, and then they bring in Charles Antoine Lavallee, who was goaltender of the year in the Q last year, won a President's Cup with Shawinigan. So it's a little bit of a weird situation to have 2 20-year-old goaltenders. Are you looking through the roster right now?
I am.
I mean, I don't know many teams that go with 2 20-year-old goaltenders.
Yeah, and I don't think, that doesn't seem, I don't know. Unless the Arsenault is just going to go to Junior A, but that just to me, it doesn't make sense for them to have two 20-year-old
Yeah.
goalies on the roster. That's like, I'm going to look at it this way, like almost four roster spots.
Yeah.
Because it's goalie. You need two goalies.
Yeah.
And you only have three 20-year-olds, so you're literally taking four roster spots away by having two 20-year-old goalies. Maybe that doesn't sound correct, but if you look at it if you look at realistically, it is four roster spots.
Yep.
Just like if you take a 20-year-old European, it's two roster spots. So it's I don't know. I don't think they're going to go with two. They've got a couple of other young goalies that are probably going to get into the lineup here. But I just personally, I think they made the trade for Arsenal because they needed some veteran presence in the net, but then they got their hands on Lavallee, so they're probably just going to let go.
And if Arsenal's playing Junior A there, if anything happens to Lavallee, they can bring in a 20-year-old in the pipes with experience that plays well. So it may have been they didn't know about Lavallee. Now they have a backup plan in Chad
That could
Arsenal.
be it. Yep.
I guess one of the major developments that Shawinigan-Gatineau traded for Olivier Nadeau. He's now having shoulder surgery. And so Shawinigan-Gatineau trades back the first-round pick. Shawinigan trades the first-round pick back to Gatineau for that. So a little bit of relief for a player that you'd have to think that would have been part of it.
Actually, I just look at Shakutami's rosters. He's not even there.
Who?
Arsenal.
Oh, okay.
He's not even at camp, so.
Oh.
Yeah. There you go. That settles that.
Yep, that sure does. Nailed it. It's coaching changes in the division. I was joking with one of our guests that we'll talk to later, Tozer there. It's crazy that Moncton is now other than Charlottetown, Moncton is the stable coaching in the Maritimes division. So Gordy Dwyer goes from St. John to Bathurst. The Eagles hired John Goins, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, so we'll focus on the other two. But St. John hires Travis Crickard to kind of rebuild that team. I really like the Gordy Dwyer move. Get him back. He gets back in the league, and he gets what should be a pretty good team in the first half with Bathurst. But that's a good coach for that team that he can put a stamp on it, rebuild it, and keep them competitive.
Yeah, 100%. Really good move. I've always been a fan of Gordy Dwyer, and for me to, I think I've said before that when the Wildcats were searching for a coach, he was someone I wanted.
Yep.
I don't know why it didn't work out in St. John, but he's from Northern New Brunswick. So for Bathurst to go out and get a head coach and GM from Northern New Brunswick is just a really good way, and it's a good marketing campaign.
Especially when all the rumors is you might not be there.
You're moving, this and that. Yeah, exactly. But I think this is going to be his first kick at the whole GM side of things in the queue.
Yep.
So hopefully, he can make some moves that aren't going to have some fans a little upset because, things aren't going too well up there, and you got to hope they don't leave because that's one of the huge things to do in the wintertime is go watch the Acadie Bathurst Titans. So I just say I hope they don't leave because it'll not only will it suck, it'll also mess up the Maritime division. So
yeah, especially depending where they go. And then John Goins, we don't know much about. Obviously, we'll get into that a little bit more when we get good old Patrick on the show in a couple weeks. He was the head coach of the Baie-Comeau during the 2019-2020 season.
Yeah, and then he left because of COVID, I think. Or
I was in Lac St. Louis, so
yeah.
He's been in a winning organization, so at least he's bringing that to an Eagles team that is in year 2 of a rebuild and kind of seems like they're kind of putting things together as we move forward. And then the World Juniors was announced. Moncton gets Group B. Halifax gets Group A, which is all of Canada. Canada games, including the quarterfinal game if Canada gets there, and the bronze and gold medal. Halifax gets Canada, Sweden, Czech Republic, Germany, and Austria. And Moncton gets the United States, Finland, Swiss, Slovakia, and Latvia, who qualified. This sucks.
It sucks. Americans are going to be good.
Yep.
Finland's going to be good. Slovakia is going to be good.
Swiss can always just
So it's not. It sucks on the basis that we're not going to get to see Canada.
Yeah.
It's great because we're getting 4 good teams and 1 not so good team. But Latvia made it to the quarterfinals of the World Juniors.
Yep.
And they're bringing back a bunch of their players. So they could surprise. You never know. It's going to be a super competitive group. And for anybody who gets to go watch it, I would suggest go watching it. It's going to be fun. Latvian fans, they're going to be probably drinking that Avenir Center out of liquor every fucking night. Sorry. Oops. They are a well-traveled group.
Yeah.
They are a well-traveled hockey fanatics.
Finland's are well-traveled too.
Finns are well-traveled. Swiss are well-traveled.
Yeah, and you have the ability, Tybalt and possibly with a good first half, Miles Mueller could both represent Switzerland, and so you have a little bit of Moncton flair at the World Juniors in Moncton.
And the U.S. I mean, for some American hockey fans, you're only 8 hours from watching World Juniors from your hometown. Like Massachusetts is only a 6-hour drive, right? So that New England is a huge part of USA hockey. Like there's a huge amount of hockey fans in New England, so you got to figure they're going to come up too. So it's going to be a very fun group because of the amount of fans that are going to be in the rink from these different countries. And that's what I'm excited for. That's what I want to see, because I can go to a Canada game and cheer on Canada, but what I want to see, I want to see the Latvians get drunk. I want to see the Swiss, they're dancing, they're up on their feet, they're dancing they're into it, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I want to. That's what's going to make the atmosphere so good, is that it's going to be a nice combination of just different hockey people, colors in the stands.
And that's the thing.
For me, I think it's going to be a great time.
It's different atmosphere. Like when it was in Calgary when I went. And we're going to get Canada games. We're going to get 2 pre-tournament games. So you're going to get to see Connor Bedard. And I think that's the thing that sucks, is everyone thought we were going to get Canada, and then the medal round was going to be in Halifax. And that kind of used to be the thing until I can't remember the year. I think it was when it was in Regina and Saskatoon. And Canada was in one group in one arena, and then they moved everything to another arena. And Canada lost in, I think, the quarterfinal. And it was like, what happened? Well, these kids are creatures of habit. So when you put them in an arena and they have a routine and they have what they have in that routine, then you uplift them for 3 games. I think they kind of went away from that. So you're going to get to see Connor Bedard in the pre-tournament game here in Halifax. So those games will sell out. But when I was in Calgary, I went and saw Sweden and Russia on New Year's Eve with Yakupov was playing for Russia. He was the top guy.
Yep.
And that was literally one of the best hockey games I've ever seen. And I went to a couple other, an Austria one and a Czech one. So it's just, you get to see different atmospheres, different hockey cultures.
Like our group, the Group B it will be the most competitive group. Canada will steamroll Germany.
Yeah.
They're going to steamroll Austria. They're probably going to steamroll the Czechs, and they're just going to compete with the Swedes.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be Canada against Sweden on New Year's Eve in Halifax, which would be a great game.
Yeah, at least we didn't lose out on America to have that Canada-US New Year's game.
And I mean, you're in the New Year's game, the New Year's Eve game in Moncton is probably going to be the U.S. and Finland.
Yeah.
Which will be huge.
Yeah.
Right? And that's like, if there is New Year's Eve game, I'm sure there's going to be a New Year's Eve game.
Yeah.
But like, these are going to be huge. Like, this Group B is going to be super competitive. Like, for me to say the U.S. is going to run away with it, I can't say that. For me to say Finland's going to run away with it, I can't say that. The Swiss will...
Those would be the heavy favorites,
Yes.
but I don't think they dominate.
No, the Swiss will surprise some teams.
Yep.
The Slovaks, didn't they have like 5 guys taking the first round last year, the NHL draft?
Yeah.
Obviously, Slabkovsky's not going to be there. He's going to be in the NHL. But they're going to have...
Montreal, Meyer, the other guy that Montreal took, Meyer, his best friend.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Slovaks might have 3 or 4 first-round NHL draft picks on their roster. And Montreal fans, they're going to want to come, the diehards. Yeah. They're going to want to come watch these prospects play in person. So, for me, I think this is a great group. People are going to complain, Canada. Well, who cares? Like, this is, if you're a hockey fan, this is an opportunity for you to learn more about players that you've probably never heard of before.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm excited about.
Absolutely. You know what? It doesn't matter if it's Group A, Group B. Yeah, Canada would be cool, but it's the World Juniors at Winter in our backyard.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have the ability, sure, go get the ticket package. If you don't, just get a ticket somehow and get to one of these games on a Thursday afternoon or whatever. Like it's the World Juniors is in Moncton. It doesn't matter if it's A or Group A, Group B. The World Juniors are in Moncton. But yeah, let's get to, you know what? Let's get to a couple guests because we do enjoy the guests on the season premieres.
View from the other bench.
All right, so a view from the other bench. Again, it's not so much the bench. We're going up into the stands. He's been a QMJHL scout, an OHL scout. He's got 3 President's Cup, 2 with the Wildcats, 1 with the Sea Dogs. And he's now scouting for the Weyburn Red Wings. Scott Gordon. Scott, thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much, Adam. It's a pleasure.
So I guess, we kind of were talking on the Twitter DM. I guess just you were here for in 05-06 and then again in 2009, 2010. How did you get into the scouting world? How did it come about?
Well, Adam, a lot of things happen, I guess, being in the right place at the right time. Basically, for me, I was coaching at a showcase tournament, and just as basically a voluntary thing, just for the kids, And I just happened to meet a guy, and he was a friend of a friend type thing, and he knew contacts in Moncton at the time, and he said, "Would you be interested in scouting?" I had been doing a little tiny bit for Yarmouth Mariners. Laurie Barron just had started up there, and I met him at a clinic one time, and I would just give him a few names here and there and so on. But as time progressed, I moved on, and actually this guy hooked me up with Moncton, and it was a learning curve for sure. It was demanding first, and I actually got into 2 phases of the team. Basically, one was scouting for players, which obviously is the obvious thing. But with the coaching background, I was asked by Danny Flynn to advance scout or pre-scout some of the teams that would come to St. John's. And so what we did is I would go to Mile 1 Stadium in St. John's. The Fog Devils were the team then in the queue. And all the Atlantic teams, not all the Atlantic teams, I apologize. All the teams who would have to go through the Atlantics would start their trip or journey in St. John's. So I would do the advanced scouting in St. John's for all the other teams. And in those days, you'd have to fax up the game sheets and the rink boards and all this kind of stuff. And Danny and Ted Nolan at the time would process it and put it into the game plan. So, these teams would hit the team would then hit like Cape Breton and, St. John's and so on and so forth. And they know what's coming, so it's
smart.
It was a bit of a strategy, I guess, at the time, because there was no, as we talked about earlier, about technology and stuff there the other day when I was speaking with you. The technology was basically I had a paper rink board and would, set up the power play, PK, any type of special face-offs, line matching, this kind of thing, and I'd fax it up the next morning. So, that's how it started, right?
Yeah, 2 names you mentioned, Ted Nolan and Danny Flynn. Working with those 2, well-respected gentlemen in the hockey community, what did you take away from them as coaches and bring yourself behind the bench? With your you've been coaching some U18 recently. What have you learned? What did you learn from them that you brought to your own role behind the bench?
I think there was a number of things, but there's some things that really stood out. First, I'll talk about Ted. Teddy was a quiet man, believe it or not, very reserved, and but he was very knowledgeable of the game, and he had a great way with the players. And I think the guys really wanted to play for him. You know, like he had that demeanor. He didn't really show a lot of frustration or exuberance. It was more even keel. When I brought that, I tried to bring that as much as I could into my own type of coaching situations. And with Danny, he was so I don't know what the right word would be, enamored into the technical, tactical parts of the game. And he was very intelligent, and I learned a lot that way as well. It was a great experience actually to be with Danny Flynn, because he would spend time with you when they come to St. John's, and later when I used to go to Moncton for camps and so on. And he would be showing me all types of different systems that he's going to use, and everything from face-off arrangements to PK to PP. It was a learning curve all the time.
So we're here with Scott Gordon. We kind of talked about it in the DM when we were just kind of going over like what this interview would be, and I just asked. I mean, you've been in this for quite a while. You're now scouting for the Weyburn Red Wings in the SJHL. I mean, just how has technology changed in the scouting world from a pen and a pad and faxing, as you stated earlier, to now you jump on an iPad and you can draw things on an iPad, and you have, what's that scouting thing called?
100%.
Instat. This
Instat. Yeah.
Has it made it, I don't want to say has it made it easier to scout, but obviously the information's easier to travel through, but does it make it a little bit, what's the difference, I guess, is what I'm trying to ask you.
Yeah. I completely get what you're saying.
Yeah.
The old school way of scouting is what I still prefer. I'm not really a tech guy as such.
Right.
Coaching U18 this past winter and the past 3 or 4 winters, we used some of the Instat information, and like some of the guys on staff, they really enjoyed using Instat. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It was all at your fingertips. You could go in between periods and haul stuff up and show the guys. For that type of thing, I found it excellent. Okay. The old school style of, I'd copy down the, like I was saying, breakouts and power plays and PK setups and all this sort of thing. And you would get to learn or get to know the insight of the coach who was against you.
Right.
You start to see tendencies in other coaches and what they did. And plus, you could whip something up on a grease board on the bench in 20 seconds and talk to people individually, inform them individually as a player coming to the bench. This is a great thing you did. This is a thing you need to work on, and just throw it on the grease board, I call it, rink board, in 2 seconds. So there's pros and cons to both. I probably was a little bit too much old school with regard to using the rink board on the bench, but I found that it saved a lot of time and made things, kids could interact with you fairly quickly with their finger on the board and this kind of thing. I was here, should I be here? And it made things much easier for me personally to explain.
Yeah, I always wondered, like, the older generation, how they get along with technology, because kids basically come out of the womb with technology now, and it's so easy for them. So it's kind of cool to get an older generation, you're not old, older generation of scouting's viewpoint on. I'm just digging myself a hole. Jeremy, you're up.
Yeah. I guess I'll take over. But yeah, I guess
take the reins, Jeremy.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Stop digging yourself your own grave there.
Yeah.
All your years of experience scouting, Scott, who's been the best player you ever scouted? And your answer can't be Crosby or Lafreniere.
That's a really good question. I mean, locally, we had good guys in St. John's area of Newfoundland. But when I was on the mainland as well, there'd be obviously some really guys that could, really, really enamored me. And one fellow I'm going to say that I really enjoyed watching coming up through, let's say, in Bantam and Midget, and that was Brad Marchand.
Best player in the NHL, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, you must be a Bruins fan, of course.
No, just a Brad Marchand fan in general. Yeah.
In all fairness, Brad was good to watch. I think he was with Dartmouth, I believe, playing midget, and I would watch him there in Dartmouth, and then when we drafted him in Moncton, I really started to watch him when I could, of course. And I had him at a under 17 camp for Team Atlantic as well. So I got to know him that way as too. And he, you know what? He was a pest, and he was this and he was that, but he was full of heart, and he was a really great guy to be with, and stuck up for his teammates, and he was a leader. And I really enjoyed him. I really did. And sometimes he gets a bad rap, and a few things he did, in the media and so on and so forth. And I didn't agree with it, but overall, I didn't overly judge Brad. I always thought he was a good kid, and he does a lot of good things, I believe, in Boston. And, I think he's had to be the best player that I've ever seen, had to scout. I mean, there's more on the list, like Luc Bourdon was a great player, great defenseman. He could play for hours and hours and hours, I think, without having to take a break. It was unfortunate of his passing.
Yeah.
But he was a great player as well. But I have to stick with Brad at this point.
That's a fair, I'm not the biggest Brad Marchand fan, and I think unless you're a Bruins fan, there probably aren't a lot of people that are Brad Marchand fans. But I mean, you can't deny the talent. He's in the NHL, and he's very good at what he does in his type of craft. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, Brad too. I think the on-ice demeanor and so on and so forth is just one of these things that he has to do to play.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that sounds silly, but I think that's how he gets himself, let's say, ready or jacked for the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just to be that little rat and get playing. But I mean, he comes off the ice, he's got 2 or 3 points, and he sometimes takes bad penalties, and he does a few things that, But in this situation, I always thought that he was, he had to come through a lot for his size and so on in midget AAA, and But he's got hockey sense, and he knows the ice well. And anyway, I thought he should be his agent, but.
So now you're scouting in the, like I said, the SJHL for the Weyburn Red Wings, and I guess just talk about the hockey now. I mean, it's crazy to think that these kids are being drafted at 13, 14, 15. I think out there, I think the draft age is bantam, or in here it's midget. But I mean, just talk about trying to evaluate these younger kids and getting them into the junior A, because the SJHL, that's a good league. It's just like the AJHL. It's just like the MHL here. It's not for the weak, and especially in Saskatchewan. I know a little bit about Saskatchewan hockey, but just talk about what you're doing now for the Red Wings.
Well, I when I came out here to Calgary, I retired, so I moved to Calgary, and I was thinking, what will I do? I'm living in an apartment with my wife and 2 dogs. And she's going to probably kill me soon, and right. So I mean, I got to do something. So I just went online one day and just looked around. Said, I could get into major midget and be going every night. Or I can probably go to junior A and just try and help out a team. You know what I mean? So I just fluked upon. I went through the SJ and I said Weyburn Red Wings, and I recognized the name because I knew of somebody years ago who either played with Weyburn or lived there or something, but it just struck a nerve with me. So I text the GM, and he told me a few things. He's a young guy. I think he's coaching GM. And he said, I'm having a bit of not trouble, but, things have been a bit rough, and we're in last place. We're taking over the team. We got some new guys come in. And so I said, if I could help you out, I'll have a few looks for you around Calgary. And he appreciated that. He says, it's hard to get, or anything like that. I've never even been to Saskatchewan before, but I just felt for the team, and it's one of these things that you'd like to see some progress, hopefully, and you can be part of it. That's about the bottom line.
All right, yeah. I mean, that's if you're trying to get back in. I mean, living in Calgary in a small apartment, I can see how you kind of want to get back into it. So why not get into it kind of at the ground roots when you can rebuild something and kind of put your stamp on it, and who knows where that leads, right?
Absolutely.
Still got you?
Yeah, I got you now.
Okay.
I don't know why I lost you, but
I
got you good.
No worries. It kind of cut off a little bit there right at the end. But you know what, Scott? We want to thank you for joining us, giving us a bit of an insight in kind of the scouting world, because, I mean, not everybody can do it. But I guess one last one. what would you tell someone who's listening that wants to scout, wants to get into it? Is it just a matter of going to the rink with a pad, picking one guy and watching him and putting notes on it? Or is there, what would you tell an aspiring scout?
I helped a guy this winter back in Newfoundland to get, to hook up with the team. He was really eager. He was really knowledgeable, and it's been a bit of a rough ride for him actually to get get a job. There's no big pay. Some things there's no pay at all. But it's a fun thing, and if you want to stay into the game, I would encourage people to try and get there. Now, the way to get there is be seen around the rink. I would think the former players, like that, sometimes they get a good gig if they know someone in the know of how to get in there. Mm-hmm. But hanging around the rink a little bit and doing a few reports, and maybe even just going to GM, sending them emails, say I'm interested. Here's my experience. Here's what I can bring to the table for you. And, just try to keep it positive, and work at it and work at your own skills and look at, what am I actually doing when I'm scouting a player? Like what should I be looking for? And, is it just his skill? Is it how he plays the game? Is it, how he reads the development play? It's all kinds of things you got to educate yourself upon, because there's no real golden rule to it. Because at the end of the day, the GM wants to come in. Everybody wants the best player, right?
Yeah.
But I like to look at it positionally. I like to scout. I really like to scout defensemen because there's so much to it that you really can break down and see how well they do things or not. Forwards the same way. If you get a third line guy, you know what you want from him. You want to know what you want from your first or second line guys. So judge it accordingly. Skill is the big thing. Skating is the first thing in my books. And a lot of kids are getting a lot of skill development now these days. That's great. I love to see the skill, but you got to know the game. Mm-hmm. And right, that's something I think that's missing sometimes in some people's memoirs, is that, I'm teaching them skills, but you got to know what to do with the skills. And that's the big thing. Knowing the game, watching the game, see how things go, listening to the experienced people. And that'll be your first step if you want to be a scout or a coach or even a player,
Perfect. Well, that's, what's that?
I'll say, just try to be knowledgeable as much as you can. Soak it up,
Yeah.
Soak up that knowledge.
Absolutely. And I like the fact that, being honest, right? Like, don't be all negative. Pick out the positives. Be the positive scout, but not overly positive. But you know what? Hopefully, out of this interview, maybe one kid listens to this and wants to do that. So we thank you for this, Scott. Thanks for taking the time, and hopefully we'll have you on again a little bit later in the season.
Sure. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. So you good? You know how to scout now?
I've always known how to scout.
Getting your name out there.
I just don't take that next step to go into one of these, because there's so many independent scouting agencies out there that you can go and intern at, and I just never, like I said earlier, I like hockey, but once or twice a week is good for me.
Yeah.
But I can't live in the rink, right? It's just I love the game. My dedication's just not there.
Yeah.
Right. To go and be a scout. I like
and the travel too.
Yeah.
Like
I can take notes. Like I can sit at home and watch a game and take notes and send them to whoever wants to look at them. But I'm not. I would take a job as a volunteer. Okay, go watch this game and we'll give you tickets to something, or I would do that. But don't put me on a payroll, because I'm just I don't have that sort of commitment.
Yeah, I always enjoyed the scouting part of it and trying to find that diamond in the rough kind of thing. And every time I go to like a midget game or junior A in Calgary, and you're just trying to scout what the player's doing. I always pick a player and kind of watch him. I don't know if I'd want to do it all the time in the different rinks all over, like traveling from here hotel to here to hotel, and that's why it's shout out to those that do it. you're dedicated to finding the diamond in the rough and finding players that will turn into what your team, if you are fortunate to have a team, wants. So they're kind of the unsung heroes of hockey because
Absolutely.
they put in the time. But speaking of putting in the time, let's time for another guest, as they say. All right, so again, now we're going from the view from the other bench to the stands to up in the media room. We're pleased to be joined by Memorial Cup champion blogger, Station Nation host, Jamie Tozer. Jamie, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Not too shabby. First, I want to thank you for coming on after I tweeted that they were going to go 0-3. So I appreciate you showing some love and coming back on with us. So the floor is yours if you want to take shots at me. I mean, we kind of talked about a little of this in the Fredericton game, but welcome in, man. How's your summer been?
It's been good. It's been pretty short. I'm sure you guys feel kind of the same way. Like it's bizarre to be back doing this already. It feels like the Sea Dogs were just playing a few weeks ago, and I guess that's because they kind of were. So it's been really short summer. It's been kind of good to get back at the rink, I guess, but it's still like it feels weird. Like I'm curious what the other fans might think who didn't play the Memorial Cup, if they feel the same way, or if this is just a unique thing because of the tournament St. John hosted.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It was a pretty short summer. It's literally just feels like, I guess the Memorial Cup was 2 months ago.
Not even.
It's really short summer, but if anybody that follows you on Instagram, you obviously put some miles on the old credit card again over the summer. Where have you been, and what have you seen, and what have you done?
I haven't been too busy this summer, to be honest. I've been spent most of the summer down in Halifax. Went to Touchdown Atlantic in Wolfville. That was a lot of fun. Really well organized. Actually, kind of surprised how well that ran. Insanely hot, but it was a really good time. Had a horrendous seat, probably the worst seat I've ever had at any sporting event, but directly behind a pole. But it was a really good time.
Did they not know who you are?
Checking out a lot of the Wanderers soccer games. I have season tickets to the Wanderers, so checking those out. And Toronto FC was in town earlier this year, so that was really exciting. They're doing pretty terrible, but the games are still fun. Lots of people still coming to support the team, so a lot of fun. Hopefully we get another team in the Maritimes soon. But yeah, other than that, just kind of been planning some hockey trips for the fall, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, whereas you've seen every NHL rink, right?
I've been to all of them except Seattle and obviously the new one in Phoenix.
You mean the university one in Phoenix?
Yes, if you want to classify that as an NHL arena. I'm actually stoked to see that though. Like that's gonna be a lot of fun to check out.
It's smaller than TD Station, isn't it?
I think it is actually. It's smaller than I think.
It's smaller than the Avenir. I think it's 5,000.
Most of the CHL rinks, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's 5,000 or something like that seating wise.
Yeah.
But well, I mean, like I said, we were up in Fredericton. Checking the annual. Sea Dogs beat the Wildcats in 2 games by a score of 10-3, depending how you split that up. But
Tradition.
Yeah, exactly. Not a fun tradition from a Moncton standpoint, but I mean, it was both rosters were fairly young. It was first weekend of camp, so I mean, just your thoughts on this young roster and like you said in one of your articles, I mean, this should be an intense camp in St. John because there are a lot of spots up for grabs with a team that's basically rebuilding.
Yeah, I mean those games looked pretty good, and like any team or any follower of a team, you're gonna take those first couple games of training camp, with a grain of salt, just because obviously Moncton wasn't dressed in their greatest roster either, but by comparison they looked pretty good. Good to see a few of the guys who we know are going to be on the team. Really stand out. Burbage played really well in the Fredericton game. Ellie, Vince, whose name I may be butchering right now, Ellie or Eli, who has maybe some of the greatest preseason stats in the history of the league over the past 2 years. He probably would have been on the team last year if there's any room for him. But he's a guy along with Burbage who's from last year's draft class who are probably going to be standouts on this year's team. And then in the up game, Pavel Simak or CMAC, whose name I also may be butchering, one of St. John's new imports, looked really good too. He looked really fast. I was actually a little surprised at how quick he looked. I didn't really know a lot about him, but I didn't really read a lot saying that he was as quick as he looked. But again, I'll be curious to see if that speed translates when he's playing against some older guys. But certainly encouraging couple games, considering we're probably in for some rough outings this season in St. John.
I guess it wouldn't be a QMJHL draft without the Sea Dogs taking a Moncton Flyer. How's it been for Jeremy Richard so far? I think he was the first pick of the Sea Dogs in the most recent draft.
Yeah, I've only seen him play in one game. So from what I've seen, he looked pretty good. I'll be curious to see, like a lot of guys. I'll be curious to see what he looks like against some older players, and getting used to that speed. He's going to get a lot of ice time as a 16-year-old. This defense core is pretty lacking in experience. So it's pretty much Charlie DeRoche is kind of the biggest name on the back end heading into this season. And after that, there's a big drop off in Q experience. So
you're showing no love for Jared Cosman right now.
Oh yes, my apologies. But he's going to get a lot of ice time. Like all these younger guys on the back end, whoever makes the team, these guys are all going to get a lot of ice time, and they're going to have some rough nights. We all know that, but they're going to get a lot of experience this season. And I'm curious to see how St. John really handles their back end, because I think we all know, having watched the last St. John rebuild, defense was a major issue right up until last season, really. So I'm curious to see how the team kind of handles the defensive play in the first couple of years of this rebuild. So
we're here with Jamie Tozer, Station Nation. So you talk about a very young back end, and what you want when you have a very young back end is an experienced goaltender. You're going through the roster, looking at the 2002s. I think there's 40 of them left on the preseason roster on the Q website. But in goal, Herderbees and Patno, they're both 2002s. Are they going to keep two and then keep that 120-year-old, or is it one or the other? Like, what is the plan you feel in goal with two 20-year-old goaltenders that can make an impact?
I think they'll end up keeping one of them, is my expectation. I think Olivier Bordeaux, who is a draft pick last year, I think he'll get one of the spots. I think he's kind of at least for St. John's, is hoping that he's kind of their goaltender of the future. So I imagine he'll get one of the spots, and then I think one of the others will go to the 20-year-olds. I would think that there's probably some hopes that they can deal Herchubees for some assets. What that is, I don't know. I'm not up to date on what the goaltending market looks like, what the overage market looks like, but I'm sure there are some teams interested in a goaltender who's, maybe one of the most experienced, if not the most experienced goalie returning to the league this season. So I'm sure there's some interest in him, which would be Patno and Bordeaux as St. John's combo. That's kind of my expectation, but again, kind of just depends on what the market looks like.
Yeah, to me, it's St. John looks like a team that they've got a good group of returning forwards up front. They're young on the back end, but they get good goaltending. So I see them getting off to a good start. But the second half, probably the same thing will be happening in Bathurst. Who are some of the guys you think that St. John was trying to capitalize on their value come the Christmas trade period?
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think guys like Cam McDonald, Peter Reynolds, some of those returning guys, I'm missing someone, Connor Trenholm. I think some of these returning guys ideally get off to a really good start, really, exceed some expectations, kind of, especially guys like McDonald's and Reynolds, who feels like they've kind of been close to living up to their potential over the years, but just haven't quite been able to click like we expected. If they can kind of find that extra gear that we've been kind of expecting them to hit in the queue, I think the Sea Dogs can get a pretty decent return for a lot of those guys, assuming they get off to a good first half. So I definitely agree with you. I think if St. John can have a decent first half, those returning guys look good. Some of the young guys maybe play above expectation. I And then the second half, I think you're probably going to see a lot younger roster, which is, what I think everyone kind of expects. And that's just how it goes. And as we know, St. John's draft bank is almost hilariously slim for the next few years. So I think any draft picks they can get, they'll take.
Yeah, which is kind of funny when you were talking about what the market is for 20-year-olds and in goaltending. If there's a team that needs to recoup some assets while moving goalies out, it would it would be St. John's. So we've gone the forwards, we've gone the defense, we've gone the goaltending. Let's go behind the bench. I talked to you a little bit in the game in Fredericton. St. John hires Travis Crickard. They have one assistant, and I don't think they've named one yet. But just talk about the impact that you think Travis Crickard could have with St. John, and like we joked there, another coach for St. John again, which you had said Georgie's made that reference. There's been a few, but just give us the lowdown on Crickard and what you expect from his team.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see kind of what he can do. First time head coach at the junior level, and I think when you hear that, a lot of Sea Dogs fans probably gonna have the PTSD to the Josh Dixon days. But I think Crickard's much more qualified to be a head coach. I think you look at his resume, this is kind of the natural progression for him to move into a head coaching position. Maybe not the greatest scenario for him coming in at the, year zero of a rebuild, but I think, the Sea Dogs are going to have some patience with him and give him some time to see what he can do. And I think kind of ideally is Crickard can do what the Wildcats have done with their coaching staff and get the most out of a roster that's going to be young, not have a lot of talent, but get the most out of what they have, which I think the Wildcats have done a great job the past couple of years. I'll be curious to see what he does. And I think the Sea Dogs too. I think they were kind of so happy with what Gardner McDougall did. I think they're probably hoping that some of Gardner's work kind of carries over to Crickard, and he can kind of carry that forward. It'll be curious to see what he can do. And again, expectations are there's not going to be a lot of pressure on him to win. So I think just like Gardner says, just get better every day. So I think that's kind of the motto for the season. And I'll be interested to see if he can get the most out of this group.
So speaking of kind of a follow up to that, speaking of Gardner, first of all, I apologize to anything I said to him. He clearly knows what he's doing. But is this like he's separate from the organization now, or do you still think he could be a special consultant that kind of helps Crickard learn? I mean, he's not in the Q league, obviously, but kind of help Crickard along because he was on the staff in that Memorial Cup run. Or do you think Gardner's kind of separate to UNB now, or do you see kind of a consultant role in this season, or at least in the future?
I think he's pretty separate now, is my kind of expectation. But at the same time, I'm sure if Crickard, was to give him a phone call, I'm sure the two could give some advice to each other. I'm sure Gardner is more than willing to help out, and Gardner's someone who's known for supporting guys who aren't even on his team. A lot of students over the years he's supported. So I'm sure if Crickard, who's kind of a student of the game himself, if Gardner, if he asked for help, I'm sure Gardner would help him out. But I don't think it'll kind of be in an official capacity.
That special assistant isn't going to be Gardner as a consultant.
I guess Jamie, we won't keep you too much longer there. But if you were to, I guess, look at the Maritime Division, give us an unbiased opinion on where you think the Sea Dogs will finish.
Probably fifth or sixth, somewhere between fourth and sixth. I guess the good thing about the Sea Dogs heading in this year is that the division's kind of taking a step back. So I think I'm sure there's some games again that they can be competitive against even in the second half when their roster's probably gonna be weaker with Bathurst. Charlottetown is kind of rebuilding, and then Cape Breton's still a young team, so I'm sure they've still got a shot to be competitive in some games. So I think they can probably slide into that 4, 5, 6 spot. I'm not sure where. What do you guys think?
Honestly, it's such a tough call. But I think I want to say probably a fifth spot.
Yeah.
For me, it's obviously the bottom three will be Charlottetown, Bathurst, St. John. But I would say probably fifth. I think like St. John, Bathurst will get off to a decent start, but Charlottetown,
Yep.
Probably going to struggle the entire year, so they'll probably be the sixth spot in the division. That's how I see it. I just don't see Charlottetown being able to compete with in that first half to get enough points to kind of get into that fourth or fifth spot.
Yeah, I'm not going to pick against St. John, so I'll say first. No, I'm just kidding. I think fourth or fifth. I think what helps these three teams that went from the top and now will kind of be the bottom three is the teams that are going to be playing in the second half won't be loading up for Memorial Cup runs, and I think that's really what hurt Cape Breton and Moncton really in that second half. Is you're going against a lot of the games you were going against in division were against these teams that were loading up to go all the way to the Memorial Cup. So I think that helps them a little bit. I think I always go back to goaltending, and I think I give St. John a little bit of a, if they keep Hurtubise all year, or even they keep, I think they just have a little bit, or Patno, I should say, all year. I think they got a little bit of an edge in goaltending, so I would probably put them in the fourth, fifth range. I don't think they completely bottom out and go sixth kind of thing, but I would probably say fourth, fifth.
Yeah, I think one thing that's kind of interesting about St. John and this rebuild is that they had a really big draft class last year, and they managed to keep a lot of those guys. I think they only lost two guys: Francis Woods, who got traded to Val-d'Or, and obviously Grenier went to Moncton, which is a big loss. But they've got a pretty big draft class of from last year of 17-year-olds who will come in this year and be 17s, which I don't think you see very often for a team in this kind of position. So that's kind of the wild card to me. So if some of these 17-year-olds can kind of come in and play above expectations, I think that could really help St. John.
So last one for me, I guess the appetite of the fans. I mean, when we chatted, you said it was an unreal 2 weeks, just about tore the city down, fan-wise and COVID-wise. But, the Sea Dogs are Memorial Cup champions. They're going to defend it all year. It's not really going to be the best year on the ice, but just what's the appetite of fans now that you're not knowing you're going to have this ultimate team that has a chance at a championship? Just what's the feeling in the city, and will they kind of capitalize on the kind of atmosphere they had down during the Memorial Cup at the Container Village and kind of try to incorporate that and kind of have a tailgate feel in at TD Station?
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what they kind of do this year. And the Sea Dogs, like every team, this is kind of the heading into more of a normal year. Hopefully it stays normal all year. And there's not a lot of buzz about the team. Because I think the fans, they understand the rebuild. They know that the Sea Dogs, they're not going to win the Memorial Cup again this coming season, and they're going to take a major step back. But I'm interested to see how the team kind of sells that to people. I'm looking at the season ticket benefits, and they're just kind of the same benefits that they've had every year and every team has. So not a lot of different and excitement from that. And I don't know what they're going to do or plan to do to try and kind of lift up the energy throughout the year, because this is going to be a rough year on the ice, and next year is going to be a rough year too. So I'm curious to see what they can do. The Memorial Cup was a great time, and I'm sure some people, most people aren't going to forget it anytime soon. But at the same time, I think if the Sea Dogs, they kind of find some new creative ways to generate some excitement, because I think if you look back at the last rebuild, that was a tough rebuild. Attendance kind of reached its lowest point ever at times. And now, we're bouncing back from COVID here, hopefully. So I don't know. I hope the Sea Dogs can kind of do some different things and kind of get some learnings from the last rebuild and try some new things. But I don't know. I'll be curious to see what they can do.
Well, as long as they get a few new fans that went to the Memorial Cup and now have that appetite for hockey, that's all they can ask for in a rebuild year. And the junior hockey fan is smart. They understand the cycle, and this is the time where, like I said, if you're there for 50 and 13, you should be there for 13 and 50. Support the team, because these are the guys that are going to grow in 4 years, and you're going to be able to see them. So You know what, Jamie? We don't want to take too much of your time, and we thank you for the annual preseason visit. We'll have you again, hopefully in studio, maybe around the trade deadline.
Sounds good.
All right, that's worked.
Let's do it.
Penciled them in. But yeah, we'll see you around the Avenir Center, and maybe have you on in and around this year.
All right, sounds good, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie.
Well, I mean, first of all, I want to thank Jeremy for not burying me when I gave him the chance when I made that tweet. But you know what? I apologize to him, and I still stand by it. If it wasn't for Gardner, I don't think so. But always good to get insight, especially when that's a team now that's going to be going through the year zero rebuild, and you know he's very connected into that team. I'm very interested to see where they finish because I think they can get, like you said, a lot of wins in the first half. I think like Bathurst. I'm interested to see what the Islanders do, but I think they finish more kind of fourth. I think they can stay ahead of Bathurst because I don't even know if Bednar's there in Bathurst the whole year, right? Because he would count as
that's a 20-year-old and a Euro, so
yeah.
that's two.
And the
roster
same
spots.
as Patnode, right? 20-year-old and Euro, so you kind of almost keep them all year. So that'll be the battle is 4 or 5 with those teams.
Yep, I agree. Charlottetown, they still get LaPena, and I'm sure he'll steal him a couple games, but he's just he's going to be overworked. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But if there's going to be some decent goaltenders available for trades, at Bednar, there's going to be LaPena. It's going to be Hurtubise. Schwinnigan probably will trade. What's his face?
Cologne.
That's the
They've
one.
already traded Lavallee.
Yep. So they're going to be in a.
It is funny how Halifax knows that Desnoyers is not coming back, and I'm sure St. John with DeFore they know certain players are coming back, but like a Cologne, he's not, he's coming back. I don't think Le Pen is drafted, but it's you kind of forget that Desnoyers is not going to be back, so you're like, well, why? Oh yeah, because he's 20, and they know that for sure, so it makes it a little bit easier in terms of Halifax. But yeah, I think it's almost a goalie market where there's too many goalies for spots, right?
But we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty good year, and but
you want to talk about our guys now?
Let's do our guys.
All right, let's talk about
tired
our
of
guys.
talking about
people are probably waiting for our guys.
Yeah.
Wildcast training camp report.
Oh,
you forgot about that, didn't you?
I did forget about that one. That's different.
Yeah, no, I made that last year, and I think you had the exact same face last year because you completely forgot about that. But yeah, training camp got underway on the 15th. It was the rookies that were involved. Like I said, with Jamie there, they had the 2 games up in Fredericton, a 5-2 loss, and then they were back here in Dieppe at the Uniplex, a 5-1 loss, so the standard 10-3 type of loss. I guess we had some cuts that we know of from Bryson Curry, Nathan DeBrill, Alex Gagne, Yotam Klein, Anthony LeBlanc, who he had the gold and green. So I got him mixed up with
Bolo, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, that's really, we kept the guy from Val-d'Or? That's not the guy. I'm so because he was from what team was he from? The LeBlanc.
Oh, he's
the same team as Lavallee, right?
La Riviere, I think.
Yeah. But it's just the green and gold messed me right up.
Yeah.
Vincent Laguerre, Francisco Police, Goran Stobo, Tarantinko, who I believe was an injury related because he went down in that Fredericton game. Kiefer Thompson, Keegan Warren, and then they allowed the players from NCAA: Creo Solomon, David Baird, Justin Dume, and Nika Jean. No real surprises on that list, especially the 4 NCAA guys. I still believe Tarantinko would probably be here if he didn't. I don't know what he injured. There's never any reports on what players injured, but he went down in that first game and he needed help off the ice. Any surprises for you so far early on in camp?
You mean cuts or just overall?
If it was a surprise of the cut, was it a surprise that the guy's still here?
No, the cuts didn't surprise me at all. A couple of the guys that have really caught my eye. So Hugo Marcel, Trent Ballantyne, Jacob Steinman.
Yeah.
These free agents that have come from Ontario. You can tell that they're from Ontario because they're standing out against these players that mostly played midget or some even lower levels than that. So They're standing out, not necessarily in the rookie games, but also against the veterans. That's a very positive sign. Marcel can skate like the wind. He's a right shot. Same with Ballantyne. Skates like the wind, right shot, acts like a fourth forward.
I love Ballantyne.
Yeah.
Like when knowing nothing about him and putting him, I think we both put him on our rosters, but putting him on and then you saw him in, I think, one of the first scrimmages. I haven't watched the two with the veterans. I'll watch that. I was just like, yes.
Yeah, that's
big defenseman, moves the puck well, skates well.
Yep, mobile. Quincy Cyprien. I had him
fastest kid alive.
Well, he's up there. And he can make plays at top speed too, so that's super promising.
His first goal in Fredericton, you asked me if it was unassisted.
Yeah,
like both goals unassisted. Him and Mercer, he grabbed the puck at the blue line, and not comparing him to the player, but a la McDavid, he just 2 steps and he was
gone.
He was with the guy, and 1 step and he was gone. Cut right across, and you're just like, whoa!
Yeah, it's crazy if you haven't had a chance to watch him skate.
And it's everywhere. It's not. I'll turn it on because I'm gonna go get the puck or I have the puck. I'm gonna turn it off when I'm chasing in the zone, looking for the puck, making guys make mistakes.
Yeah,
and
he's competitive. He forechecks hard. He skates hard. He skates fast. And that's when I got that scouting report, that's kind of why I put him on my roster, is because I thought, just based on that, he would have a good spot, a good chance at a team, and Preston Lounsbury, even, he's in these scrimmages, he's playing with Loshing and Barbashev, and for a 17-year-old does not look out of place. He's scoring goals in these scrimmages against veterans, so that's a super positive sign. All the veterans look bigger and faster, and that's what you want. That's what you want. You want to send them home in the off season with a workout plan to be better, to come to camp prepared, and they have. Like Loshing, believe it or not, I think he's faster. I think his shot is faster. His shot is more accurate. Thomas Darcy is faster and bigger. So, it's going to get down to these crunch times and some of these cuts as we get closer to the regular season or
the CJIP,
the deadline, the CJIP, whatever which is I think Sunday.
Yeah. Is it this Sunday?
Yeah, the CJIP deadline is this Sunday. So there's two more.
Yeah, that's why they got 3 games. 2
or 3 more exhibition games to showcase what they got, and then they got to make a decision. So, Jacob Steinman to me, odds-on favorite for the backup role. But at the same time, I said the same thing about Dawson Rowe last year, and he was one of the first goalies cut. But Jacob Steinman
just looks more composed than Rowe, in the limited views I've seen him.
Yep.
Eli
saves.
James played pretty well in most of the scrimmages, and then he had a couple, ones he'll want back, I guess I would say, in that Fredericton game. But he doesn't look out of place. One guy that got a cup of coffee here last year, Ben Mercer. He looks bigger, faster. Now you're playing against a bunch of 16-year-old rookies, so he was one of the veterans that was there. He looked bigger. I don't think Gabe Smith has really looked out of place as much. No. Grenier, I mean, again, he's played in the queue last year, was playing the rookie game. I've only watched the scrimmages and the two exhibition games, but Grenier live, just smooth.
He's smooth.
He's so smooth, and he was smart with the puck. He was getting it out when it needed to be, finding that first pass. So
I guess my only thing about Grenier, he shoots a lot, which I love, but his shot selection could be better.
And that'll come.
Yeah. Like some of these scrimmages, he was shooting it right into the pad, shooting it, it was just, the shots weren't getting through.
Right.
Like someone like Forte Gendron, his shots are getting through. Ballantyne, his shots are getting through. Marcel, his shots are getting through. Dalmont's shots are getting through. But, Grenier, his shot selection just needs, or shot choice, I guess. It just needs a little more work, but that'll come because, he's still young. And, there's other names, like even Cooper Cormier. Cormier's kind of stood out a little bit for me in these scrimmages which I think it was one of the later picks. He's just, you didn't expect much for him, but you can tell, when you have a father that plays pro hockey, the hockey sense is always there.
Yeah. 14th round.
Yeah, even Nika Jean, like you can see, like his hockey sense is there. It's just for him, it's just a matter of getting bigger and stronger. But Cooper Cormier has already got size.
Yep.
Like I don't think he's going to make the team, but he's one of those guys that's junior A, backyard, easy for a call up kind of player, right? So,
and he didn't like doing some of the color games in the playoffs there. How was his speed going to translate to the next level?
That's the thing.
So far, it's not probably where it needs to be, but it's not. He's very far behind. Like he's always out of the play. He's got the hockey sense. One of the guys that was probably the most physical in the first game, and was a transfer. And I don't know how the trade process works, if it's 2 trades because Gio is in Cape Breton, but Kiefer Lyons. Kiefer Lyons doesn't look at a place. You can tell that he played a little bit of Q last year. He was very physical in that first game. It's just, I don't know how they're going to come to this. And I mean, they're going to have to, but there are some very tough decisions to be made.
Yeah, Kiefer Lyons looked really good in the rookie games, but he just hasn't been noticeable as much against the veterans. So I think that's not going to work as much in his favor.
Yeah.
And I have to say his name just because he stood out. But Cornforth, in the rookie scrimmages, absolutely the best player on the ice. Him and Lounsbury were the best players on the ice.
Yeah. Him and Taratinko in the first one.
He didn't play in Monday's Sunday scrimmage. Didn't play Sunday scrimmage. Didn't play Monday scrimmage. So that's nothing official from the team, but a pretty good indication he's gone home, which is unfortunate. But
you did share a little tidbit with me.
Yeah. If there was an opportunity for me to quote or to kind of bring in a Titanic moment here, come back. Come back, Jack.
Oh, I thought your Titanic moment was
There's a boat.
The song.
There's a boat, Jack. So Gavin, if you're listening, the boat is the Wildcats. Come back. You can play in this league.
Mm-hmm.
You're technically still only 15 years old because you don't turn 16 until mid-December. You're probably one of the youngest players that would play in the league this year because of when you were born. You can play in this league. You've got the skills. So if you're sitting at home listening to our show, trying to make a decision, I want you here. Adam wants you here.
Yeah. The city wants you here.
The city wants you here. A lot of people on the message boards, I know it's unofficial, but you're talked about every day. So
in a good way.
In a very, very good way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, we'll do what we can to help out with the recruitment, but
we have a hashtag ready for you. We'll wait till you sign, but we have a hashtag ready.
We do actually,
and that's a pretty big thing.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
We do.
Yeah.
So if you are listening, we would love to have you here, and we don't want this to be one of those things where you get drafted into the NHL, and I'm tweeting Moncton Wildcats legend Gavin Cornforth. I want you to be drafted as a Wildcat into the NHL. So you're not what I consider a legend, because a legend, for those who don't understand why I say that, it's when a player who the Wildcats drafted or traded for, but just never played here. Mike Matheson is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Jordan Samuels Thomas, who I think is an NHL referee now, is a perfect example. Keith Petruzzelli, I think, is a Toronto Maple Leafs goaltending prospect, is a perfect example. So I don't want you to be a Wildcats legend. I want you to be a legend in Moncton. So that's my recruiting skills.
Very impressive. Moran is still dealing with a little something that kept him out of the U18. So
still banged up.
Yeah. Luckily, this is like a 9-week camp, so he's got some time. The 20-year-old battle on the defense. It's not really a battle, but it's one of two spots, and it's Hamel and it's Olsen. And I honestly haven't seen the scrimmages with the vets. I don't know if he's looks bigger, faster, stronger. I don't know if you noticed him. I got a feel that we probably, when you listen to this, they played last night against the Islanders. They got the Islanders again, and then they got Bathurst on Friday. We'll probably get into a couple of those. I want to see him get bigger, faster, and stronger in front of the net, and that's what I'm looking for.
Honestly, I've the scrimmages I've watched, Olsen's been more noticeable than Hamel. But at the same time, you're like, okay, well, Hamel's more of a defensive defenseman, but Olsen's been
in the play
better,
right?
So I guess it's going to come down to GMA calls and offers X for Connor Olsen, GMB calls and offers X for Anthony Hamel.
Which is better?
Because to me, Hamel's got a better value.
Mm-hmm.
But if a team needs a 20-year-old that's got a little bit of offense to his game, maybe Connor Olsen's the guy you want.
Which Hamel may have more to offer the other team, but in the same sense, Hamel, and we're not in the room, may have a little bit more. Like, look what he's done with Iasenza, right? Like,
yes.
I wouldn't necessarily say that hurts Iasenza's development, but I mean, of the 68 games last year, they played 67, 62, I think, because Hamel was injured or whatever. Like, they were starting lineup. They were playing all the time. So it's, he may have value there, but what's his value in the room? And that's where the 20-year-old situation, because you need that leadership in the locker room. And Hamel's a guy that could have a letter on his jersey.
Yeah.
Right? So where do you place that in? But, it's the game, like I said, when you were listening to this against the Islanders was one thing, but we got the Islanders again tonight, and then we've got Bathurst on Friday, which then we get into the break. So it's we always want this. We always want the camp with the tough spots and the tough roster decisions, and making ghost rosters is fun and getting them out there. And we did that. I feel pretty good about it, but some of the players have been able to make me question some of my decisions, right?
Yeah, and that's it. Like, you make a ghost roster, and that's just based on having no sweet clue.
No,
right? Because you're going off.
We pretend we do.
Yeah, and that's just what you do. We try to we try to be an expert, act like an expert, and do what we can to help out your knowledge as to some of these players that are coming, and we hope that you've enjoyed what we do when it comes to our opinions, but we're not official, so
no,
we're not experts, but we will be experts if we ever get official.
Yeah,
but
we're working towards it. And on that note, I do want to thank UMB. If you're on the YouTube, they did give us a media pass for the first preseason game. Yeah, it was preseason, but still, we got one, and it says Wildcat Podcast only in our seats.
There you
go. Shout out to UMB for giving us one of those. This is fun.
Yes,
talking hockey's
back.
Fun.
It's great to be back.
Yes.
Every Wednesday now for the next 10 months. We will be here. Hopefully not 10 months, because the Memorial Cup is not in June next year.
No.
Is it June? No.
Not
the end of June, but it's
should be its regularly scheduled programming time. But yeah, no, this is fun. We're going to be here for the next, we're going to take a break when the Q takes a break. But other than that, for the next 9 months, we're going to be here
with us.
Yep. That'll do it for the premiere. We want to thank our guest, Scott Gordon, discussing his time in the Q and a little bit into scouting as well. Jamie Tozer from Station Nations for his annual preseason spot about the Sea Dogs. We will see you next week. Again, game tonight on the island. So if you want to go, it's at the APM Center in Cornwall. And then Friday night at the Avenir Center, taking on the Acadie Bathurst Teton, which means next week we will try and get a hold of Corey Arsenault from the Islanders, and of course our good buddy and yours, Johnny Rocket, for the look at the Titan. See you next week.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Wildcast Podcast. Follow us on social media at Moncton Wildcast.